Okay, perfect. Now I can talk to you guys over here, and I can read stuff over here. Dual monitors are just lovely, my friends. All right, so let's talk Ono. Let's talk Ono. So, as you all understand, Yoshinori Ono is taking over as the president of Delightworks now. And there is a reason for that, and it seems like the reason for that does live within those emails I'm going to talk about in just a sec. But if you don't know who Yoshinori Ono is, the man is a sound designer turned video game producer. He is most famous for working on some of the finest games in Capcom's history. I'm talking mainly, of course, about Street Fighter IV, a truly phenomenal title. He was producer for Monster Hunter Frontier Online, Capcom Fighting Jam. He did Third Strike's Online Edition, which Street Fighter III Third Strike is probably one of the finest fighting games in the world. He did Darkstalkers Resurrection, and of course, he unfortunately had some ill-fated encounters as well near the end of his time with Capcom. We're talking Street Fighter V, which of course has been criticized for its terrible launch, which I was part of. It was indeed a horrendous launch. And of course, for one of the new big controversies in it, the fact that there are advertisements in the game. There are advertisements in the game. Stages are $10. Costumes are $6. This is all just basically stuff you really would not want to see in your fighting game. Ono repeatedly cited that he was, overworked, dealing with a bunch of health issues. They padded out Street Fighter V's life cycle with those things I just mentioned, pushed back development of Street Fighter 6, and then he ultimately left Capcom after also unfortunately touching Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and starting Deep Down, which also ended up languishing in development hell. So that is Ono. However, what I can say about Ono is there is a fantastic, truly fantastic quote from Maximilian Dude about Ono, and Kita Sean ended up sharing this quote in regards to Ono joining Delightworks, and I've got to agree with the man 100%. This, what Max has said, what Kita Sean agrees with, and what I agree with are all things that are true about Ono. Ono is an amazing representative. He is exactly what you want for a brand. You want somebody that is excited and passionate about the community. You want somebody that seemingly loves the games they are part of and spread that joy through pressing marketing. I have no doubt that the second Ono takes over at Delightworks, he is going to be sitting in an office playing FGO while Unlimited Blade Works is on the TV, while in his free hand he is reading Fate Apocrypha. I fully believe that once Ono sees what's going on with the project, he is going to do his best to get invested in it. Now, what ends up coming from that, I can't really say. Of course, he's got really good pedigree in the form of Street Fighter IV, one of what many would honestly consider one of Capcom's golden age games, such a brilliant lifelong time at EVO. People still play it to this day. And then, of course, we've got Street Fighter V and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, not Ono's finest hour. And I see Murasama is saying in the comments, now it's time for an FGO arcade fighting game. Ono did specifically mention that he is leaving the FGC for a while. He said that when he was talking about his departure from Capcom. So I don't expect him to be too involved with Melty Blood, and I also don't expect him to really end up doing a lot in regards to any sort of Fate fighting game. So we can go ahead and chuck that out of our heads right now. If it happens, I will be pleasantly surprised. Now, this all ends up bringing me to the challenges that Ono is going to face taking over Delightworks. I've said for a very, very long time, I really feel like Delightworks has sort of been complacent. They really looked at their early on success in FGO and felt like, well, we never need to change anything ever again. This game has made bank. We did everything right the first time. It's just going to continue making bank into oblivion. And I'm sure we understand with pretty much any game, that's not true. It's really hurting them. And this leads me to these emails. Now, these emails come from YouTuber Nakaido. Nakaido has an email leak from Delightworks staff regarding Sakura Kakumei's development. Now, if you don't know about Sakura Kakumei, it was a gacha game released from Delightworks based on the Sakura Wars franchise. It debuted very, very poorly, cost a ton of money to make, and ended up dying within 6 months of launch, which is horrific for any game, not even considering the fact that it is a gacha game. So we've got 2 emails here from you that I'm going to go ahead and read now to you guys. I'm going to kick back because reading these emails and getting everything right is very, very important. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, I'm going to drop a link to Nakaido's video down in the description below. See if you want to take a peek at it. So this first email comes from December 22nd, 2020. This is all paraphrased. It's known that Sakura Kakumei has received a lot of negative feedback from players, but the producer team, including Hideyoshi Baba, only shares the positive ones to the rest of the staff and shuts down all the negatives. When the other staff shares negative feedback in the group for a discussion, it is completely ignored, preventing the team from making any proper improvements. The environment and the state of the company being Delightworks, has made it hard for players' voices to be reflected within the game's development. Delightworks has also made no attempt to contact Hiroi Oji, the creator of the Sakura Wars franchise, for his input, and the entire production is being handled in collaboration solely between Delightworks and Sega. It also seems like the producer team has absolute confidence in Fate Grand Order and tries to apply everything that they did in Fate Grand Order to Sakura Kakumei. However, it has resulted in a barrage of illogical and unreasonable orders that the development staff ultimately has to answer to. So what do we got here from this email? Number one rule of being an artist, a creator, is that you need to be able to take constructive criticism into account. You need to be able to take both the positive and the negative and use that in order to not only make yourself better, but to make the things that you are making ultimately better. So it looks like they being Delightworks, were presenting overall this sort of false sense of success to the development team. And whenever the development team would, go outside what the company was feeding them and would try to go ahead and present what the actual reality of the situation with Sakura Kakumei was, they were ignored. They were basically told, no, that can't be right. Here's all the stuff we've been sharing with you. The game's doing great. It's going to ultimately succeed because we're treating it like Fate Grand Order. Just do everything we did in Fate Grand Order. Big mistake. Because then we get to this email on February 12th, 2021. I believe that Sakura Kakumei won't last long now. The company also seems to be preparing to close the game sometime around March this year. It obviously ended up being a little later. The game received a lot of closure notices about 5 days ago, I believe, as a result of this, as the release of this video. The producer, Okamura, was pushed to take responsibility for the game's failure and quit his position, and now Hideyoshi Baba serves as his replacement. Currently, there are a lot of ideas being thrown around in the development team, but all of those ideas were taken down by Hideyoshi Baba, and those that he did accept were never implemented. There's pressure from President Soji, the president of Delightworks at the time, and that's making it hard to do anything. As a result, the Nirai Kanai event that was supposed to be held soon, around February 12th, is being pushed back indefinitely. Without knowing what the plan is for the game currently, as well as in the future, the development team has been forced to work on stuff, sometimes pulling all-nighters, that they are not even sure will actually be implemented into the game. And this next little bit is just a paraphrase here from Itkan Madani. He is the person who ended up posting this to the group I found this video in, and I really think this is also important to mention as well. Taking this email at face value, it seems that for Delightworks, Fate Grand Order's success experience is everything. Basically, they are saying FGO did great because of the things that FGO did, while not realizing that it's most likely FGO did great in spite of what FGO did. And for those reading this, please be aware this email is still merely a one-sided view. We don't know what's going on the producer's side. Take it with a grain of salt. So we can see here the type of people that Ono is going to have to deal with. Ono is going to have to deal with people who are so sure of what they have done previously that they believe that their success is because of all aspects of that thing they have created, not specifically because of one aspect or another. And this also leads me to believe that, this is where a lot of the problems in FGO sort of come from. I know there's a lot of people out there that say, don't trust YouTubers, don't trust content creators, but a lot of content creators out there, obviously not just including myself, are trying to say things and give criticisms, so maybe in some small way they will reverberate, make it to the top, and overall make the game better because we love it. The way it seems like all these people are looking is they're like, we don't need to make any changes at all with this game, because if it succeeded back in the beginning, it is going to succeed in perpetuity. And I'm sure we all understand, anytime we've ever seen an MMORPG shut down, that is simply not true. I see a lot of you talking in the comments. Yes, Fate Grand Order has mainly done great because of the intellectual property it is associated with. The main reason Fate Grand Order has its pull is because of its IP. I will also agree with this, and I can guarantee you, if there was a second Fate Gacha game released with better gameplay, everything else was the same, but even if they did just something with different gameplay, people would go to it. People would ultimately go to it. FGO is, by all accounts, an old game. It's an old game filled with a lot of old ideas that a lot of players really don't want to see anymore. And that's why people are trying to be critical of it, because they want it tightened up, they want it fixed, they want it to grow, get better, and succeed. I think we're seeing a bit of that with characters like, like for example, Miss Crane. I thought Miss Crane was a fantastic implementation. The slew of rank ups we are getting are absolutely fantastic, and I want to see them continuing to buff characters at a breakneck pace. But it's clear from how Sakura Kakumei has been handled that they've still kind of got a long way to go. They've really got a long way to go.